MS13 taking over New York. Today, we're jumping into an important story that deserves your attention. We're talking about MS13, a group causing some serious trouble in New York. Even though things are getting better on the busy city streets, a new kind of danger has sprung up in the quieter parts, like Long Island. We're going to dig deep and figure out how this whole issue kicked off, where it came from, and what's going on right now in New York. Stick around as we peel back the layers of history, investigate how it all began, and get the latest scoop on what's unfolding on the city's streets. Trust me, there's a wealth of knowledge to uncover, so let's jump right in and get learning. The peaceful suburbs of Long Island. The story begins in the suburbs of New York City, but these aren't your typical American suburbs, at least not anymore. We're talking about Long Island, east of Queens, which was historically known for its tranquility. The area primarily consisted of Nassau and Suffolk counties, originally built as middle-class havens for those seeking a quiet life away from the bustling city. The streets were lined with NYPD officers, firemen, teachers, and blue-collar workers, creating an atmosphere of calm and peace. MS13's arrival and rivalries. Things have changed a lot. MS13, a dangerous group, made Long Island, a calm place, into one of the most unsafe spots in the state. This began when Salvadorian people came to the US in the late 1970s and settled in Los Angeles. MS13 started as a protection group for young Salvadorian guys and grew bigger over time. They became more violent and wanted more territory. This led them beyond Los Angeles, and they even targeted Long Island. MS13 members moved to the New York suburbs to avoid getting caught by the police. This caused a clash between two different worlds, peaceful neighborhoods and dangerous criminals. As we look deeper into this scary story, we see that Long Island's change is a warning about how communities can become fearful and violent when complicated things happen. The infamous rivalries. There were two big groups, MS13 and 18th Street, in Los Angeles that didn't like each other at all. They fought a lot and scared everyone around. This fight didn't stay in Los Angeles, it spread to El Salvador too. They wanted to control places and have power. They kept fighting because they had arguments about where they could be and who was more important. Their fighting didn't stop and even got worse. They didn't just stay in Los Angeles, they went to Long Island, a calm place, and caused big problems there. The clash between these two groups brought chaos to peaceful neighborhoods. This is the story of how their fight reached Long Island and changed it a lot. The results of their fighting are still felt today. MS13's surge on Long Island. During the early 2000s, a lot of families from El Salvador came to live on Long Island for a better life. But at the same time, some members of a tough gang called MS13 also came there. This gang wanted to take over parts of Long Island. Before, Long Island was calm and peaceful, but now MS13 started causing a lot of trouble. They also didn't get along with another gang called the Latin Kings. This made things even worse, and fights and arguments happened a lot. What's scarier is that MS13 started hurting people they thought were their enemies, even if they weren't. This made everyone scared because they didn't know if they might be the next target. The once safe streets became really scary, and the people living there didn't feel safe anymore. The fights between these gangs made life on Long Island really uncertain and scary, and the people there didn't want this kind of trouble. Tragic mistaken identity. Oscar Acosta's story is really sad and shows how dangerous gang violence can be. He came from El Salvador to have a better life, but things went terribly wrong. Oscar became friends with some people from a gang called the 18th Street, but he didn't belong to any gang. Because of this friendship, members of another gang called MS13 thought he was their enemy. They kidnapped him and later killed him even though he had nothing to do with their problems. This shows how misunderstandings in a world of gangs can lead to terrible outcomes. Oscar's story is a sad example of how innocent people can get hurt just because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's a really dangerous situation when suspicion and fear control what happens, and this story shows how lives can be lost because of it. It's not just about New York streets, it's about the lives of people caught up in this violence without even wanting to be a part of it. Mistakes and revenge. Sadly, the cycle of violence didn't stop there. Mistakes and fear continued, leading to more tragic outcomes. People like Jose Pena and Xavier Castillo were not part of any gangs, but they lost their lives because they were thought to be enemies by mistake. These stories are really sad and show how confusing and dangerous things became in Long Island. It was hard to tell who was a friend or a foe anymore, and this confusion led to more and more problems. The peaceful neighborhoods changed into places of worry and confusion. The community was really scared because danger seemed to be everywhere. The stories of Jose and Xavier are a big reminder that it's important to stop this cycle of violence and find a way to bring safety back to the region. La Diablita's Reign of Terror. One person who played a big part in all this violence was Lanice Escobar. She had a scary nickname, La Diablita, or the Little Devil, because of the bad things she did. Lanice was a member of MS13 and she did really bad things that scared the community. But it wasn't just that she was in the gang, she actually tricked innocent people into dangerous situations where they got hurt or killed. These innocent people were thought to be enemies, but it was a big mistake. Lanice was very good at making these bad things happen, which showed how the gang worked in a really cruel way. Her story reminds us how dark and dangerous things had become because of the gang's actions. People like Lanice made it clear that something needed to be done urgently to stop the bad things happening in Long Island. Justice and unraveling. The police and other groups worked really hard to stop MS13 and make things better. They did a lot of investigations and operations to catch the people causing trouble. They caught many MS13 members who had been doing bad things since 2016. This was a big success for the police and the scared community. The secrets of the gang were revealed, showing the bad things they were doing. People were happy that the bad guys were caught, and Long Island started to feel safer again. The fear was slowly going away as the community started to find peace and security once more. The story of MS13 in New York is really worrisome. It shows that being in a bad group, feeling scared of others, and doing harmful things can make violence happen again and again. The police worked really hard to catch the people causing this violence, but it's a lesson that danger can hide even in calm spots. We need to think about the people who got hurt and how it changed their communities. This story teaches us that we should stick together, make sure things are safe, and try to understand each other in our neighborhoods. It's a strong reminder that staying united, looking out for each other, and living peacefully are very important. Let's learn from this and work towards making our neighborhoods better and safer for everyone. I want you to share your thoughts on this story. Did you know about MS13 in New York? How can we stop this kind of violence in our communities? Your ideas are important to make our neighborhoods safe. Remember, stay informed and connected. Let's talk about it in the comments. See you next time.